to show their big macro coordination they usually show.
I mean, on the other side too, like just to be a devil's advocate, discipline always great and wonderful to see, but I would argue that we saw some good discipline there from Fnatic, holding back, waiting for that moment to come back. But you have to find that moment also too where you have to push in. You have to play to win, not to lose.
You have to play that, you have to have that balance.
Yeah,
You have the discipline when it's needed, but at some point you also have to realize, even if it might not be, even if we would like to play this a bit safer, we have to make a fight happen right now, or we're going to lose in the long run. For Dignitas, for now, let's see how they're going to play it here. Their first map was absolutely perfect, how they dealt with Fnatic. For now, Fnatic banning out Abathai. He's an absolute staple on the map here. Dignitas, how are they going to react at this point?
We'll see what they're going to move into. When they had the first pick available, they would try to move into Dahaka pretty often on Cursed Hollow, banning out Uther and moving into it. But this time, Fnatic has the first pick, so Dignitas may adjust his strategy here to go for the bans that they would like. Dahaka's still a decent ban here, especially against Wubby. We saw him destroying at the Western Clash. This is a battleground where we get to see what Fnatic pulls off so well. It's that global strength.
Auriel taken away first of all though. So at this point we're talking again about the potential combos with Vala, with also Lunara, which can be extremely powerful. But Fnatic has their first pick, and at this point it could be Uther, we could see Genji, we could potentially see Dahaka here as well, depending a bit on how exactly Fnatic wants to play this game now.
I mean, if I'm Fnatic, I would move into Dahaka just because of how well Wubby plays it, man. That guy is downright inspiring to watch and play that character. But of course, Genji is a wonderful tool on this battleground. You can see him poking in, jumping into fights, being effective. Quacknix loves to play the hero. They have moved away a little bit from their all-in on Greymane every single day. We used to have Greymane from week 1 to week 4 always being their first pick if it was available. So Fnatic going through the options of what they want to move into.
Yeah. Greymane is another great hero to point out here. As we said already on Tomb of the Spider Queen, he's extremely flexible and versatile in the way you can use him. But at this point, Fnatic could play him, of course, again on this map. I would still expect a different first pick on their part. And we are seeing them with Dahaka for Wubby.
Thank you.
They jump in on the global, leaving great heroes open for Dignitas, and they immediately drop Genji and Uther, which is, of course, the other two heroes that we mentioned as potential first picks on the side of the Swedish team. And it's always a tough choice. Dahaka offers you global mobility. You can always burrow into the team fights, try and force a good drag here, but at the same time you give up a great combo with Genji's Dragon Blade being extended even by Uther's Divine Shield and him just going through your backline. So that's definitely something that Fnatic knew about from the start. They probably expected those two picks at this point, and they just simply said, hey, we can deal with it.
Yeah, and I gotta call out Snitch here, man. I felt like in the first few weeks of Genji being out, he played a lot of Genji, and he felt like one of the weaker Genjis we had in Europe, which was actually kind of odd to say. But yesterday, he put on a clinic against playing Ducks with that Genji, so he's definitely been putting work in. And so him having an Uther to back him up this game, gonna be a bit on the terrifying side. We do get our engage tank, which you typically want to have with the Dahaka. Please don't let the Dahaka solo tank. It does not work out. So a Nubrek will now be able to go in for the engage, and there's a Rhaegar.
Yeah, Rhaegar taken. Uther already eliminated, Auriel banned out, so Rhaegar is in an early pick for Fnatic, and it makes a whole lot of sense, especially with the melee-heavy frontline that they now have. With Dahaka and Nubarak, of course, also we are seeing them, apologies, with Ancestral Healing as a panic button.
Are you okay,
No,
man?
barely.
All right, man, I didn't want your heart to fall out there.
I'll make it through it today. And as we have talked about Greymane a bit earlier, Dignitas recognizes that as well and is already thinking about a Greymane ban here. I have to also say that I really like the choice of Johanna in the last game for JPL. He's one of the players in HGC Europe that plays the most Johanna. We have a few teams that also highlight her, but not to quite the extent that JPL does currently. And it did really well. Him going up against Lunara here, having also, of course, blocks available, a little bit of self-sustain. He held that front line extremely well and made it very difficult for Fnatic to engage into it, especially with this blind always coming into play when Lunara was trying to get most of the damage out. Yeah,
and that comes back to your point about discipline too. Johanna's one of those heroes that you have to always be thinking about where your teammates are at. Do they have the concave behind you? You never want to stretch a little bit too far, because then teammates or opponents will jump behind you and jump on your teammates, and Johanna at that point has a hard time responding. Yeah, the only one that I could think of that played as much Johanna was Chrisplosion back in Phase 1, but since then we haven't seen that much Johanna. There is the Arthas ban here from Fnatic. I wonder... what?
You're immediately thinking Militant?
Yeah, but
I don't really think so.
Yeah, exactly, with Dahaka being on the Wubby.
I mean, it's not that they can't play it. We have seen occasionally that they also like flex into different positions with other players here. But I would still say that with the setup that they have, it would surprise me.
Yeah.
We get a JPL special on the other hand. It's time to hook as Stitches is being picked. And we have with Falstad again a combo where you can go into Gorge if you want to. We have seen a lot of Putrid Bile, but Gorge and Gust is a true and tried special if you want to go for isolation kills, especially since Uther helps a lot with that extra stun. So you could theoretically go even into a Divine Storm, which is unlikely since Genji has been picked here, but in the past we've seen that a few times. And now the question, and it also of course offers a global. With Fnatic now running the Haka, Falstad can definitely go for side zone.
Love to see the Stitches and Uther together. Bakery, it's time to hook, as you mentioned. It's starting to catch on for you a little bit. But this is the team that...
I was just trying to make you happy.
Really, thank you for making me
happy. You had
happy.
a rough time yesterday.
Yes, I did. Stitches and Uther. This is the team that really pulls it off together, being able to get the hook, and Bakery always being there for the stun into the lockdown. A lot of teams miss out on that small timing coordination that Dignitas pulls off so well, so it's good to see it here. On the right side now, Fnatic moving into their damage here soon. Let's see what they're going to go ahead and pick on up. There is always a possibility for a Vala, and they do move into Vala. Was not expecting the Medivh, though.
Yeah, so Shrimpy with Medivh and Quacknix on Vala. I'm hyped for this one. This should actually be good. I'm really happy to see Shrimpy on Medivh again, especially on Cursed Hollow now, whereas usually we saw him on different maps when he focused on the hero. And let's see how that's going to work out for Dignitas. At this point, Fnatic definitely had to see, hey, how are we going to deal with this? We need to change things up a little bit. Last game was quite rough for them, so now they have a lot of cool tools here available to them, especially around the portal, but also the shield itself alone will help to keep Vala alive, since they actually had a bit of trouble keeping Lunara alive in the last game.
Do you move into additional support here?
I mean, they could. Another frontliner would also be possible for them. They can still play around that, send someone up against the Haka.
I'm thinking for some reason Brightwing.
They could get a second support. I mean, at this point, you can put Mena on... We're looking for a hero for Zelia in the end.
Yeah.
We have already Snitch on Genji, we have Mena on Falstad, and now for Zelia it's the melee, so we have Sonya being played here. Zelia has also flexed in the second support at some points, but I like the Sonya here at the front line for them. Having a second melee is rarely a bad choice.
Gives them big control for the mercenaries, also can move for the bosses. Some nice fighting available for both of our teams, actually, because they both have boss control. I actually like both drafts. There's not one that I look at and say, one has a major advantage.
Playstyle is something that I'm looking for now, because Fnatic was... like, the discipline was amazing, but still, that Fnatic at no point flipped that switch that they're usually so good at. That surprised me on the last map. And that is something where they have to change their MO a little bit. So they were saying, and Breeze mentioned it in the interview, that heading into this series, they are still a bit of concern since they are going up against Dignitas, which is one of their biggest rivals. And they also said that even though Dignitas wasn't even at the Western Clash, they still believe that Dignitas is the toughest opponent for them to beat. And I think that might be something that was in the back of their head the entire game. So at this point, I really want them to just show that aggression that they showed at the Western Clash, that they showed last season, paired with that discipline. Flip that switch when you can, look for that target, take it down. If they can do that, I think they have a good chance here. But if Dignitas is just shutting that down with how well they played the entire map the last game, if they can do that again, then Fnatic is in for a rough ride.
Well, let's see if there is a mental block here for Fnatic or if they'll overcome it against Dignitas as we move into game number 2. We're going to Cursed Hollow.
Game number 2, Cursed Hollow is the map. Bakery this time on the side of Team Dignitas on Uther. We currently see Zelia on Sonya with Snitch on Genji. Mena once again on Falstad with his mage build maybe. And JPL on Stitches.
On the right side, in the red, we'll be on Dahaka, Breeze on a Nubrak, Schwimpy playing Medivh, Smexy on Rhaegar, and Quacknix with the Vala.
Mena not making any choices yet on level 1. We've seen a couple of different approaches with him, but he goes again into the Gathering Storm now. So trying to get burst damage into the equation, which actually helps after a hook for the follow-up damage. So that's something that he can definitely deliver. And it also makes it easier for you later on to simply burst waves down if you're trying to go for that side soak, which is something that Falstad will have to do to counteract the Haka.
On the right side, remember we were talking about the Vala, the Hot Pursuit at level 1? Here we have the Hungering Arrow build. So, We'll see those bosses being grabbed later on.
Exactly. That comes down to the point that we made on the last map. You have so many hybrid builds for Vala now that give you, first of all, you have a personal style usually that you want to play, that you are the most familiar with, that you enjoy the most, and that's what a lot of players do. But when you're talking about Hot Pursuit in particular, it's a talent that you can still combo with a good arrow build. But when you have 2 bosses on the map and a lot of mercenary camps, it oftentimes makes sense to invest into Monster Hunter as a level 1 talent, just simply because you speed that process up so much, and it can really help to just sneaky grab a boss quite fast, especially if you have someone like Medivh hovering around that can provide vision to where the opponent is positioned.
Right now, Bakery is in a spot where he has to deal with the Ball and a Rhaegar pushing in his lane, and he will not be able to handle that by himself. And here's Mayonnaise to help out with the engage. Moves in with the hammer and gets a couple of nice Gathering Storm stacks too. Yeah,
he's at 3 at this point, early in the game, and that's something that we have to watch out for later on. But I want to highlight again that Medivh in particular is so impactful. Once you have vision about where your opponent is positioned, you know exactly how much time you have to go, for example, for a quick boss play or a camp. So that's something that Fnatic can exploit later. The vision aspect of Medivh is something that just cannot be understated.
Vision helpful, the ability to do Force of Wills. Medivh is just this hero that his skill ceiling is incredibly high. You have games where he looks almost broken, and then you have games where it's like, hey, what is this Medivh doing?
I mean, in general, you have one of the best things that you can do if you want to improve your own personal play and how good you are at the game is to train yourself to watch that minimap and really gain minimap awareness. Think about what happens. How many of your opponent's heroes do you see? Where could they be? And that always determines how far you can move out on the map and how you have to position yourself. Medivh helps with that because it gives Fnatic now vision about more of the opponent's team, so they always know exactly who could potentially attack them and from where. So positioning in these situations is important, and minimap awareness and vision on the map is one of the crucial tools that these pros are using.
Well, Breeze moves in for an engage. Shwimpy shows on up here on the side. Wubby with a big drag comes on in. Bakery is low on health, but he is living. At the same time, we're going to have a big engage from Genji on the back right. He's trying to run away, but Genji gets picked off. Manny at the same time low on health, and he takes a fight too. Fnatic has found the switch.
Fnatic, 3 kills already, and they're going for that drag. JPL body block. Tries to escape, gets healed up by Bakery on the Uther Ghost, but in the end it's 4 heroes that fall on the side of Team Dignitas. Fnatic coming in with the aggression that we're used to from them.
And that was the control, the discipline that you were talking about. Fnatic got Uther down to less than 200 health, but they didn't finish up with the final attack. There was actually 2 spots where Vala could have gotten the kill, or even Dahaka, but they decided to pull away and make sure to get the kills first, and then they finished off Uther. Great discipline and control by Fnatic.
Yeah, that was actually extremely well done by them here. Especially after originally it looked as if Uther would be escaping, and that was one of those moments that can really break you. If you're putting all your resources into killing one hero and then he barely moves out, that can have a really, really bad vibe for you. But Fnatic did it extremely well, gets 4 kills, and that's a fantastic start for them. It helped them to put some pressure onto structures. They have the earlier level 7 talent, they won the tribute, so they opened the game up with a bang.
That they do. Sonya was able to get a turret in the top though, as Dahaka did leave that lane to orchestrate that gank / kills, so Sonya was able to push in this top lane. Didn't help out in the experience, losing multiple heroes kind of offsets that, but at least Sonya was able to keep that pressure up. Now, second tribute does spawn here. Team Dignitas will be able to get 7, so they can contest if they would like.
Yes, Mexi is a little bit alone. That is one poor doggy trying to run away, but he might be a bit too late. Tries to get the heal in, is about to fall and dies. That rotation didn't really help him here, but maybe a counter kill against Bakery could offset that. Quatnix is low, tries to escape and does, thanks to the portal that we see from Shwimpy on Medivh. Breeze also on the way back, with Fnatic losing one of their heroes this early. They have to retreat. Again, an interrupt on the side of Medivh, also of course working on his stacks on the Master's Touch.
Main reason for the risk of trying to stop that tribute from being grabbed is because the bottom lane is being pushed in by Giants. They wanted to get a little bit more value out of those Giants pushing in. Wanted to get the fort damage. That's where they get that value from. Same time, a little bit more pressure in the middle. Again, trying to keep Team Dignitas in this area so the Giants can keep up with the pressure. And they get a decent amount of chunk of change of damage there.
And this is actually a really unfortunate situation for Fnatic overall, because they set this up perfectly. They had a camp pushing through the mid lane and a camp pushing through the bot lane. So them fighting for the tribute would have done so much to really push Dignitas behind. But with Smexy, unfortunately for him, running into 4 heroes, they just lost this fight way too fast. They still get value out of the 2 camps, but this situation could have been way better for them. So Dignitas, with that kill against Rhaegar, really helping themselves to minimize the damage as much as possible.
At the same time, Sonya was aware of the middle and bottom lane being pushed in, but headed to the top and broke down that other turret. That's why you see the experience staying a little bit similar here for Dignitas, doing everything right to make sure they're still in the game. Webby comes in for a drag combo, but misses out on it. The Night Camp will go over to Fnatic, but they need to make their way across the map as the tribute is spawning towards the top.
I'm really liking the way that the portals are currently being used by Fnatic. They speed up rotations, they are closing in on level 10. This is why Dignitas isn't even aiming for the tribute, because they already realize they will eventually fight against an opponent that has heroic abilities. But this situation makes the former tribute so much more important, because if Dignitas wouldn't have had the chance to kill Rhaegar and grab the tribute, this could have been cursed now.
You were talking about Medivh and the vision earlier in the game here. And Medivh goes to the middle lane, sees 2 people in the middle, and you know what happens right away for Fnatic? They go in and grab the boss to the top right. This is allowed because of that vision, and also because they are moving towards level 10. So again, another way that you can use Medivh and the vision that he brings to the table to be effective for your team.
Also, with Medivh hovering over them the entire time, it is way more difficult for Dignitas to commit to a boss themselves.
Yes.
Since if they don't know where Fnatic is, Fnatic could always be lurking in the shadows and just waiting for a boss approach by Dignitas to come in and try and force a battle there. So this is currently working quite well for the Swedish team. Quagnix is still working, by the way, on his stacks. He's currently at 45 extra damage on the Hungering Arrow. And while we are at stack talents, we have 14 stacks for Mena on his fall stat with the Gathering Storm. So not quite as high as he usually is at this point.
Boss will be dealt with to the top, but it continues to stack on top of Dignitas. The pressure that Fnatic is putting on the map here as the next tribute spawns on the bottom right. Mayday on the bottom side gets caught out. Breeze able to burrow charge underneath the Gust and get the kill.
And that was absolutely perfect, because at this point they enabled this with a play through portals, jumping onto the fort, and that's a curse now. So the rotation of Dignitas had already started at the time when we saw this, and Maynard thought himself safe, and then all of a sudden we see the portal play behind him, and then they simply jumped on him and took him out. And Dignitas realized that they had to give this one up. So right now the first curse has started, a fort already falling, and the question now, how much can Fnatic do with this? Are they going to make a play for the boss here? Are they going to try and invade the top with another portal maybe? Or how are they going to play their cards now?
Right now, they're looking for a member to come to the bottom side and start working on something the experience is pushing in. They want to catch him off guard, and Genji is currently the target. Snitch though, playing well, staying on that mountain, not allowing for anything to pop out. He sees nobody on the field for Fnatic.
They're trying to push for the keep at this point. They're trying to push in here already. Breeze with a quick burrow charge, not hitting the stun though. Goes for the immediate cocoon. The Haka comes in as well. And we have Fnatic closing in on 13, but they don't have the talent yet. So they can't rely on the extra talent here. And that little boost, there's still another 10 seconds with the curse. And they're really just opening up the bot lane, since they are trying to make a play for the keep later on.
The fort in the middle is low. Quagnix moves in, gets it low at the same time. And there was a nice minion wave at the top. So they should be able to grab all 3 forts to play their cards right. Schwimpy again, keeping an eye on JPL and Uther. That's the main engage for Dignitas.
There we go. Tower finally came down. But we have 3 forts taken, with the top fort now falling. So the top fort is basically just up for grabs at this point. And in overall, they eliminated the wall at the keep down to the bottom of the map, and they took 3 forts. So it was actually a really good curse for Fnatic. And they are doing again what they did before. They make the play for the boss. Breeze is making sure that he just anchors the side. And Medivh, of course, sees what's happening. That's why Fnatic can sneak that boss in. And this comes back to what we talked about earlier. You have with Vala a build now where you can, with Monster Hunter and the level 4 stack talent, really push out a lot of damage. And they really race these bosses when they have vision. So the team really working together here. One of them providing the vision, namely Medivh. And Nuburak anchoring the side to make sure that nobody sneaks past Medivh and moves in to try and steal the boss or maybe put pressure on Vala. And the rest of the team with Rhaegar and his AoE damage and with Vala going for the boss. And this now leads to that push at the bot lane where they opened the wall earlier to make exactly that play possible.
Love that pincer maneuver here. The keep already low on health here. The fort to the top is still alive, but it's because Fnatic didn't need to do it. They went ahead and pushed in and grabbed the keep, and they have all 5 members here on the right side. And Team Dignitas has to be careful. They have to be in a spot where the defending the boss, but also they can only get kills here if they hit a hook into an Uther Stun right away. And Fnatic not giving the opportunity, floating around on the side here, having Schwimpy in bird form so he can drop down a portal if they ever do get that engage.
10 minutes in and Fnatic has taken a keep. They don't make the play for core, since it's an early boss, and of course these scale into the late game as well. But Fnatic with definitely patient play here. And we have seen so far two very, very different games. In the first game, the strategy and the plan of Team Dignitas working out for them. In the second one, it's more so Fnatic that from the get-go really put the pressure on Dignitas and then make around Medivh very, very smart decisions on the map. Especially those two boss plays that we saw, that was fantastic. And the kill against Falstad before the third tribute that led to the curse, that was also incredibly important and well coordinated.
Don't forget though, Dignitas does hit 16 here. Remember, they'll get the slow on that Stitches, which will make it much easier for them to get into team fights and also hit those hooks and find those combinations they've been looking for. But you're right, in terms of styles of the games compared to game 1 and game number 2, it seems very flip-flopped of what we had seen. Now, here we go. Another tribute to the top right corner. Webby comes in. Big drag available. He misses out on it as JPL sidesteps, but still being locked down. Yeah, here comes the hook against Medivh, and the mighty Gust Snitch goes in, but we have a ley line, and the Ancestor goes through, saving them for now. Snitch about to fall, gets the Divine Shield, protects himself first, and then the Divine Shield of Bakery just barely saves him. That was one of the easiest Divine Shield of Bakery's life, but Snitch was so close to dying when he finally hit his shield. Incredibly low. And that Mighty Gus into a Dragon Blade combo was pulled off pretty darn well, but Schwimpy, the deciding factor in that fight, dropping down the ley line seal, allowing for Smexy to drop the Ancestor healing and keep his teammate alive. Fnatic able to turn that entire fight around solely because of the ley line that we saw there from Schwimpy. And now we have a boss play with level 16 talent. So what Fnatic ideally is going to achieve here is a second keep falling. For them, it's one of those situations where they are getting farther and farther ahead. But we all know, in Heroes of the Storm, you can lose a game just by losing a team fight later on when the death timers are long. Right now, Fnatic has done everything right in this game. They hold on to all of their forts, so that gives them a lot of safety. That makes it harder for Dignitas after one team fight to go straight to the core or even drop a keep. But Fnatic still wants to open as many keeps as possible, as many lanes as possible, before Dignitas can fight on even talents again, so that they can outplay them, out-rotate them. And that's what we're seeing right now. Fnatic's main objective is the keep. If they can go for the core after getting a kill, they will do so. But a keep alone would already be worth their while. But a drag hits JPL, and he gets focused down. He's already down to half health. He's trying to stay alive. Cocoon on the back left here. Bakery moves forward to bring out the heals and help the teammate. Mighty Gus does connect. Schwimpy will get hit here with the hook, but he turns around and drops a ley line seal. Ley line already being dropped. They're going in again. JPL is about to fall. He tries to get away, but no, he falls before he reaches the Nexus. And that's the kill Fnatic was hoping for. They could try and move in right now. Divine Shield has been popped. Azalea needed to be kept alive. It's still 17 versus 15. The keep is down. The boss is falling, but Fnatic is still thinking about potentially going for core, moving away, dancing around, seeing if they can maybe net a second kill. There is one element they have to be careful of, and that's Snitch. He has not used Dragon Blade yet, and they decide without being able to get a pick, without being able to get an extra kill, they can't move in for the core. They pull away, and they'll play safe and grab the tribute instead. Boy, that was a moment, man. They were thinking about it. You can see the fire in their eyes, but Fnatic holding the discipline here, and they pull away. So the important part to note, I mean, both of these games have been pretty tactical from the way they were approached. We have seen a few team fights, a few aggressive ones, but it's not really that back and forth fighting that we oftentimes see. But let's talk a little bit about what Fnatic accomplished. They opened up 2 lanes, and the important part is 2 opposite lanes. So Dignitas will always have to take care of the bot lane push and the top lane push. That's where Falstad is oftentimes going to be the hero that stays behind. So Fnatic can now delay any kind of fight around a boss or a tribute up to the point where Dignitas is forced to rotate the hero into these positions and then force an advantageous fight in their favor. Breeze gets hooked, but gets helped out here. And that's actually one thing that I want to point out. Fnatic pressure Dignitas to an extent where Dignitas sees their only way to come back with a fishing hook as a level 16 talent, whereas most of the time you will see Stitches go into a full slam build instead. Yes, that is the Hail Mary of a Stitches build. going for that fishing hook, and it almost paid off. They almost got a pick on a Nubrak. They're able to grab the boss here on the bottom side. Fnatic allowing for it to go away, even with Schwimby being on the top side. Instead, they'll look to go ahead and grab control of the entire map so they can go for the next tribute instead. Get the middle lane pushing with Mercs, Catapults pushing in the top, Giants pushing on the bottom side to deal with the boss, and now all they have to do is set up for the next tribute, and there it is.
And keep in mind that one of the reasons why Fnatic didn't go for the boss fight is because Dignitas had 16. And this is one of the most dangerous moments when you are the team that is ahead. Because you realize that your opponent is still 2 levels behind, you're closing in on 20, but your opponent has the same talents. This is also why they're currently giving up the tribute. They are basically just saying, we don't have to fight this. Yes, they're going to get a boss. The boss will get some value, but we can easily defend. But if we go into that fight now, and we lose 2-3 heroes, Dignitas is going to close that gap super fast, and what we want now is ideally to hit level 20 and then force a fight with a Storm talents where Dignitas has to either back off, which would allow us to either get a boss or get another tribute, or where Dignitas has to accept a fight that is very disadvantageous for them. So Fnatic is really making the smart choices here instead of making potential game-losing decisions by engaging into a fight that they don't need to take.
The Giants and Catapults pushing in the bottom here. The tribute does spawn. Fnatic is at 19.5. They'll have some experience in the middle to soak up. There is always a threat of them pushing up the top lane and get those Catapults moving towards the core, so you have Fall setback defending that for the moment. Can fly in at any point. Dignitas is playing aggressive. They know they want to be on the front line here before 20 hits. Breeze comes in as well as Wubby. He does hit the drag.
He gets the drag. They go for JPL again. Mena flies in. The top lane is still pushing. And here comes the kill against Stitches. This is perfect for Fnatic. They don't have 20 just yet, but they are willing to put the aggression in. Zelia already completely caught off guard here, surrounded by opponents. He dies too, and that's the second kill. We see again Genji trying to turn the fight around, but at this point, not even Snitch can make that happen.
The Dragon Blade and the Divine Shield does some damage. Bakery's on the side here, low on health too, but Genji finally get picked off. But look at the core. Top lane and bottom lane are being pushed in by those catapults. This is why they took that fight. They knew the game was over, especially if they lost this tribute. Game is done now as Fnatic is going to go ahead and group up and start heading towards the core. It's already falling down below 60%, down below 50. Fnatic with the solid control in team fights get game number 2 to go heavily in their favor, and they'll get the 1-1.
Absolutely fantastic game here by Fnatic. And the series was, from an educational point of view, actually, it was incredible.
Yeah.
You have the first game where the strategy of Dignitas absolutely pans out, and then you see a very similar thing on the other side in game number 2. Decision-making of Fnatic absolutely crisp. They open the wall at the bot lane, they get their good kills, they open the keep up with the first boss, then they make the play up at the top, and then later on they really sacrifice a lot. They don't go for a tribute that they could have fought over, they don't go for a boss that they could have fought over, because they simply said, we don't have to do this. We can wait for 20. Then you see the tributors spawning that would mean either curse for Dignitas or for Fnatic. And Fnatic at this point isn't 20 yet. So they really have to think, do we want to risk this? And what they do, they move to the top with their Haka, they take the mercenary camps, so now all of a sudden they have 2 lanes that push with mercenary camps and with catapults against the core of Dignitas. So no matter what happens in the fight, it's a win for Fnatic. They lose the fight and they stall it out. We still are going to see a situation in which Dignitas is going to lose a huge chunk of HP on the core. If they drag the fight out, 20 is going to hit for Fnatic, they can take the battle. I mean, this is just absolute checkmate position that Fnatic put them in there. So that was incredibly smart decision making.
Putting yourself in a spot where you can win, but then piling it on is quite a good strategy. We'll see more strategies coming your way as we're getting ready for game number 3 after this commercial break.